Well, hello there, Skywinders. Welcome back to another episode of Skywind007. On today's episode, we're going to be looking at this. It does not have a name on Amazon, but there is a similar product on Amazon called the Rennstand. And the general idea is that when you put a jack stand on a car, you first have to jack it up with a car jack. But the problem is that they can't both be in the same place at the same time. And then if you put the jack in the wrong place, you can damage the car. And I can give you an example. I have a Lexus SC300, which is this one that you see right here. And as we go down, you're going to see where I put the jack stand to the left of the pinch weld. And it was damaged. It got bent because I had to put the jack on the left and the jack stand on the right. So the left portion got all bent and it stayed bent. It didn't go back to normal. So you don't want to do that. So this is the solution that they've come up with. So the idea is that you put the jack under here and then you jack up the car and then you remove the jack. If you want to remove the jack, you can leave it in there. Like this is the jack. My hands are the jacks. And it's like that. So it has different height settings and it depends on how high you want to go. You got to be careful with that. And we're going to go to the garage and we're going to take a look at it, see how it works. And when we come back, I'm going to do some talking about how it's designed and what I think is good about it. And I'm going to compare it to the Rennstand, which I considered buying, but eventually I decided to go with this one instead, partly because of the design. So let's go to the garage. Okay, so here we are in the garage and I'm all about safety. So make sure you use these wheel chocks. I think that's how you pronounce it. And you do need all four. And you're going to put them in the opposite side of where you're going to be working. So I'm going to be working at the front wheel. So we're going to put two on each rear wheel. So you got two choices. You can either use a floor jack or a bottle jack. I'm going to use a bottle jack, but I think a floor jack would be easier because it has a wider base and this one has a tiny base. But let's use this anyway, just for fun. Okay, so here we are with the bottle jack, and this was supposed to go in there, but it won't fit because this is too high. So we are going to have to use the floor jack. Okay, so you set it that way, and you are going to need a rotating jack. If you have the one that goes this way, only the lever, you can't do it because the car's blocking you. But of course you can do it the other way where the jack would be coming out this way, so it's no big deal. But I'm going to use it this way. Okay, so the car is up, as you can see, and forgive my voice. So your next step is to put these legs in. Okay, so I think we are ready. So remember, this and this have to be facing in. So let's lower it. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is nice and locked. This doesn't even move. Okay, now it's time to pull the car down. Okay, so we are back from outside, so everything went fairly well. I do want to point out that it is a lot of work. It is not like using a jack stand, a regular jack stand. So if you don't have to get this, don't get it, because you do have to align. You have to align this perfectly with the car, but at the same time you have to align the jack, your jack under here. And it has to go exactly in the center, so both things have to be aligned, and you have to keep looking out for that, because if you do it wrong, well, it's not going to lift. It's just going to twist and probably do some damage. But make sure you do this correctly, and it only works in one direction, so if you put it backwards, you might think that there's something wrong, but just do it correctly. This has to be in. Remember, these two things go in. That's a safety measure so that you don't trip it. You don't accidentally pull it and it vroom goes down. Not that that would happen, because I already tried, and it's nice and firm. Once you have the car in there, it's not going to move. Sorry about that sound. So I did look at the Rennstand, and I did notice that it had too much angle, the Rennstand. That's why I did not go for that one. And I go by the principle that any beam, there are three forces that you can apply on a beam: stretching, bending, and compressing. So when you have a tool like this, where the angle is almost 90 degrees, there's not a lot of bending pressure on it, just the compression, and it's a lot harder to compress something than it is to bend it. But the Rennstand, I noticed that it was like that. So there's a lot of tension on the joints, on these joints and in the welds. So that make me kind of nervous, because if you look at a jack, you would never see a jack like this, like the Rennstand. The jacks do have angles, but they have a skirt. Either they have a skirt or two beams. That prevents the legs from overstretching. But on the Rennstand, if you look at it, it doesn't have a skirt, and it certainly doesn't have any kind of beams. There's nothing, so it's actually putting a lot of pressure on the struts to go that direction. So that does make me nervous. So, but here is almost 90 degrees. The angle is slightly stretched out, but not a whole lot. So I do see that the weight of the vehicle goes all the way down, and there's not a lot of tension going that way, and that's a good thing. That means that this is a little bit safer in that sense, as far as I'm concerned. This is my opinion. I'm not an expert in anything. So I looked at the welds. There's a lot of welds all over the place, and they're very nice and continuous, so I'm not concerned about this falling apart. I do feel like it's a little bit safer than a regular jack stand, because it has all this area. I'm always nervous when you put something on a jack stand that the car's right here and the jack stand is over here. I'm always concerned that it might just puncture the car and go in there, and then the car falls on you. But this one has so much more area that even if this failed, the center part or the pinch wheel on the car failed, the whole car would just fall on this, as you can see. And there's just no way this whole area, this whole thing is gonna cut into the car like a jack stand. A jack stand is just a little area like that if there's a weak part or a rusted part in the car, it's just gonna go zoom and just make a hole and go in there, and the car goes down, of course, and falls on you. But this one just makes me more safe. It feels like it's more difficult for this to pinch into a car, and it's certainly not going to go very far. Even if it does pinch, it's not going to go very far because it has this and this. Of course, there are areas in the car where there might be a space, an elongated space, so this could go into the elongated space. So you want to make sure you don't use it that way. But if you're using it on the side of the car the way I showed you, where the pinch wheel is right here in the center, even if that collapses, it's gonna fall on something. So I definitely think that this is a safer option than a traditional jack stand. So in any case, thank you for watching, subscribe, and thumbs up.